Ay, ano ba yan?
Hello, yan. Nakikita na pala ako. Sorry. Hello po, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I hope na nasa maayos tayong kalagayan. Especially po doon sa mga kababayan natin na kumailan lamang ay nasalanta ng bagyong ah, Ulysses. Doon po sa, lalo na po dito sa mga kababayan natin na mula sa Tuguegarao, dan sa may Bicol area, pati din nga po dito sa may Quezon, sa may Marikina nga din po, no, and Rizal Province, and doon sa may Aurora. So, I hope na kayo po dyan safe and sound po ngayon sa mga oras na to. And I hope na you also receive no assistance from the government. And kami po ay nakikiramay po doon sa mga pamilya po na nawalan ng tahanan and doon po sa mga nawalan po ng kanilang mahal sa buhay. Muli po, bali ito na po yung pang-apat na episode ng FPA webinar series. We've started this last October 24 ba? 25? Yes. So, this is the fourth episode. So, after this, may dalawa pa pong episode na natitira. Okay po. So, for now, while waiting po sa mga ibang participants na nag-register, para po makapasok sila dito po sa ating Zoom, no? Kasi pagkakalala ko may mga participants yung nag-register is almost 90, umabot po sa 90. And kasalukuyan po nasa 33 pa lang po tayo na nandito sa Zoom. Sa kalaman po ng lahat, kasalukuyan din po tayong pinapanood via the Facebook page ng FPA. Ayun, so kindly follow and like po yung ating page para po kung tuwing may live streaming po tayo, agad po kayong mano-notify. By the way po, ako nga pala si Ivan Layag. Ako po isang information officer dito sa Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority. At ako nga po ang magiging modulator or moderator nitong hapon na ito. Ayun, so I would like to also remind po ng yung mga participants na ito po ang ating webinar ngayon is being recorded po for documentation purposes. Ayan, so bago po before we will formally begin this one, no, let me just remind you of the following house rules. Ang una po, kailangan po nating maghanap ng quiet na location para po marinig natin yung pong marinig natin ng maayos yung pong discussions. Pangalawa, use of earphones is recommended. Pangatlo, your earphone and camera are not needed and will remain disabled throughout the duration of the webinar. 4 participants may ask questions and raise concerns via the Zoom meeting chat room or at the FPA Facebook page, which is at FPA official page. 5, participate in the Zoom polling sessions and Q&A at the end of the webinar. Number 6, to avoid disruption of your participation in this webinar, please ensure that you are connected to at least 5 Mbps bandwidth. You can check your internet speed by typing in your web browser, fast.com or speedtest.net. Sorry. Number 7, all resources used in this webinar will be available. We'll be providing po or will be ipapakita po namin mamaya yung pong link kung saan nyo pwede pong i-download or ma-view yung pong mga presentations na nagamit po during this webinar. And number 8, stay focused and listen attentively. And lastly po, only participants who are able to answer the pre and post evaluation will be given e-certificates. Ayan. So, alam ko po na sa mga sa mga FPA employees po na kasulukuyan pong nanonood ngayon sa oras na ito, sa Central Office and Regional Field Offices, kaway-kaway po dyan. We are with you po. Ayan. And so, for you to be informed din po kung ano po yung reason why we are conducting this webinar, please be informed of the following. First po, this webinar aims to promote po yung different regulatory services of the agency. Secondly, we want to answer and clarify public inquiries and concerns about FPA's mandate and functions and related guidelines issued by the agency. And finally po, we want to encourage kayo pong mga participants to disseminate kung ano pa yung natutunan nyo dito from this webinar. And we expect you to share to others what you have learned and the experience you have learned in this webinar. Okay, before we will proceed po, palagi natin pong ginagawa to, pati din po sa mga ibang trainings, either online or offline siya or face-to-face, lagi po itong ginagawa. Kailangan po may pre and post evaluation. So, I will be showing to you po yung pong poll yung for the pre-evaluation for us to know kung ano po yung mga expectations ninyo in this webinar and for us to grasp din kung ano po yung mga kailangan naming adjustments as training facilitators and managers. So kindly wait, I'm going to share yung pong poll. So sa mga participants dito sa Zoom, kindly wait. Ito na po. So please sana is majority makapagbigay po ng sagot dito po sa ating ongoing na pre-evaluation. Okay, 53% voted. At least sana lagpas tayo 60%. Ayun. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So let me end yung pong ating pong pre-evaluation po. I'm going to share the results. Ito po, ayun, the same thing, yung result like nung pong last meeting, mas marami po ang nagsabi na that they are from NCR. Pangalawa, mas maraming nagsabi na they are from the private sector. Yes po, kasi nga po yun nga naman po na yung mga clients nga naman po ni FPA is from the industry. Ayun, fertilizer and pesticide industry. So I expected na nasa private sector po talaga. And yun, marami din tayong mga fellow employees din from the government and konti yung nagsabi na they are self-employed. Pangatlo po, ayun, have you attended the previous episodes of this webinar? Naku, thank you kasi maraming nagsabi na they have attended this webinar from the start, from first to third. So ngayon pang-apat. So I hope so na makumpleto natin no hanggang sa last episode ng initong webinar. As I have said nung unang episode, yung pong mga nagkumpleto po, nag-attend sa lahat ng episodes nito ay mabibigyan ng Certificate of Completion. Number 4, doon po sa rate ng ating pong current level of knowledge on the issuance of VAT exemption and Certificate of Application for Importation of Pesticides, EUP, and other certificates for fertilizer and pesticide regulations. Bali yun po yung topic natin ngayon. Ayun, marami po sa atin ang nagsabi na moderate lang po ang ating kaalaman. So that means may space pa po or there's space for learning pa po. Ayun, no? So let's proceed na dun sa susunod na part ng ating pong program. Let me stop sharing the results. Ayun. So, for us to formally begin yung pong ating pong discussion, which is about issuance of experimental use permit for fertilizer. Bagle yun po yung pinakaunang topic po natin ngayong hapon. By the way, this will be discussed by Sir Mark Kevin Salita. He is an agriculturist from the Fertilizer Regulations Division. So, may I call on Sir Mark Kevin Salita to start? Or ready na po ba si Sir? Ayan, so let's wait for Sir Kevin to share his screen. Ayan, so your turn na po, Sir Kevin.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Sir Ivan, for your introduction. No, so good afternoon, everyone. So in episode 2 of this webinar series, na-discuss po natin kung paano yung registration ng products ng fertilizer. No? So merong 2 types tayo, merong yung traditional and yung non-traditional fertilizers. So for this for my lecture today on EUP, we will discuss the additional process before the registration of the non-traditional fertilizers, which is the issuance of the experimental use permit. Okay, so ano po ba yung EUP? So ito po yung permit issued by the FPA to applicants who will conduct bioefficacy trials as requirement for the registration of non-traditional fertilizers. So unlike po sa mga traditional grades natin na pwede silang diretso na mag-register, for non-traditional grades, before sila makapag-register, kailangan muna nilang mag-trial. So thus, kailangan ng EUP muna. Then, also, it ensures that trials on new products are conducted under local conditions and under the supervision of the FPA. So, kailangan po yung trial conducted sa dito sa Philippines kasi po kung for example kung na-trial siya sa for example Europe or Americas, baka po iba yung makuha ng data doon kasi iba po yung soil doon o yung climate doon, iba rin po. So kailangan before siya ma-register sa Philippines, matrial din muna siya dito. Okay, so kung ano yung mga non-traditional grades niyan? So, yung na-discuss way back pa nung episode 2 kung ano yung non-traditional grades. Pero what exactly are those products ba? So, these are products that need to undergo bioefficacy testing, which include new grades, specialty grades, or yung products na ginagamit natin for ornamentals, the controlled release fertilizers, plant growth regulators, biostimulants, and yung microbial inoculants. So, for the new grades, meron pwede naman silang ma-exempt. So, what are these exemptions from bioefficacy trials? So, per our latest revision of Blue Book, for new inorganic fertilizers, these are the blended fertilizers in solid or liquid form that contain traditional inorganic fertilizers as raw material. So in essence, kung yung product ay ginamitan naman, ang components naman niya ay traditional grades din. So in essence, traditional grade na rin siya lumalabas, parang ganun. So later, on the next slide, papakita ko po yung mga nakalist sa blue book natin na traditional grades. And then for the other types of fertilizers, for them to be exempted naman, they should be fully registered for 10 consecutive years in the FTA. So, yun, pwede nating i-check naman yan if ever gusto nyo malaman. So, as mentioned, ito po yung mga ano natin. Nakalista po sa implementing guidelines sa Blue Book na inorganic fertilizers na traditional grades na siguro mag-request na lang po tayo kung sino yung gusto kong makuha ng list na to and sasend ko na lang po through email para makatipid tayong time. Okay. Ayan. So, yan yun. So, for the process, no, ito po, kinuha na lang po namin yung page from the Citizens Charter. So, basically, ayan, for the requirements, dati po, on top of the application form, the protocol, and the field layout, nire-require po namin si field officer na inspect muna yung trial site, and then mag-issue ng endorsement letter for the field protocol. So as of last year, December 2019, sinuspend na po yan. So for now po, ang requirements na lang po ay yun, yung application form, trial protocol, and yung field layout na kasama din ng trial protocol para ma-reduce na po yung process. However, take note po na yung endorsement ay required pa rin po for the trial result. So, yun for the ano na siya, for registration na siya required. So, to recap, before trial, hindi na required, but yung after trial, yung results, kailangan po ng endorsement letter pa ni field officer namin. So for the steps, yan. So once ma-check ma-check namin yung requirements and then we receive it, papa-evaluate na namin yon. So once ma-evaluate siya, pa-process, then once ma-approve siya, doon na siya pwede mag-trial si client. So take note before mag-commence ng trial si client, dapat may approve muna siya na EUP. So marami tayong cases in the past na disapprove yung trial dahil nag-start sila ng trial before na ma-approve yung EUP. So ang processing time natin for EUP is 20 working days once all requirements are complete. So ayan, so dito na tayo sa mga things to remember natin for EUP. So the EUP must be issued, like I said nga kanina, EUP must be issued prior to the actual start of the trial. And then the applied trial must be conducted by an FPA accredited researcher. So yun, before kayo mag-start ng trial, check nyo muna yung accreditation ni researcher kasi baka po mamaya nag-expire na siya and yung accreditation niya di pa pala na-approve or di pa pala pending pa yung renewal niya. So check nyo muna yun kasi pag ganun po, hindi po namin i-receive siya. So yun, check nyo muna po yung accreditation. Then, it is only valid the EUP for one growing season, trial location, representative crop, and product. So this means that yung payment nyo po for EUP is valid for one growing location, trial location, crop, and product. So hindi po siya pwede na for two trial locations and then one crop, isa lang po yung babayaran nyo. For ganun, dapat po dalawang babayaran nyo. And then FPA researchers are strictly prohibited from conducting trials for the institution or company of his or her affiliation. So ayun, kung For example, si researcher ay, for example, taga Dole, and then yung client po ay taga Dole din, Dole po ang nag-file ng EUP, hindi po pwede yun. So, pine-prevent po lang natin dito yung bias ng researcher sa data niya na isasubmit. So, that's why kailangan po hindi affiliated si researcher dun sa client na nag-apply ng EUP. The next, any amendments to the trial, location, duration, or researcher must first be requested to FPA prior to carrying it out. So, for example, if nabagyo si trial na na-approve, before niya ilipat, i-request niya muna yun sa amin, sa FPA. Pa-file lang naman yun. Wala naman siyang payment. So, after once na ma-process namin yun, mag-issue lang kami ng EUP amendment. Wala naman siyang charge. And then trial duration only covers the period from start to finish of trial and does not include the preparation of reports and data analysis. Ito maraming from our experience, maraming nagfa-file ng extension ng kanilang EUP for amendment ng EUP na ang kino-cover lang is yung data gathering. So to be clear po, hindi po yung kasama sa trial duration. Ang trial duration lang natin covers from yung land prep ng trial up to yung harvesting lang po. So yung trial lang po talaga mismo ng yung cycle, yung cropping cycle lang po yung covered noon. Yung data analysis and preparation of report, doon na po siya sa 1 year from the conclusion of EUP to the submission, doon na po yun na covered yun. Then make sure to leave no blanks in the application form as all information in the form is important. So ito, yung guaranteed analysis, like saka pati yung product category, important to kasi po dito din natin po ma-check kung talagang kailangan po mag-EUP ng product. Makikita din natin dito para kung yung halimbawang yun nga hindi na pala kailangan, pwede naming sabihin sa inyo para makadiretso na kayo sa product registration. Nakatipid pa si client. So next is please be specific in the trial location by at least indicating the barangay, sitio, and or the facility of the trial. So ito marami ding cases nito, nilalagay lang nila like for example Batangas, trial location niya, or Baguio lang ganun. Pag ganun kasi po, mahihirapan naman po yung mga field officers namin pag pupuntahan na nila yung trial kasi mahihirapan silang malaman kung nasaan kasi malaki naman po yung Batangas o Baguio. So yun. Then the bioefficacy trial results or the terminal report along with the other requirements must be submitted within 1 year after completion. So like I mentioned kanina, once matapos yung trial nyo, you are given 1 year after it to submit your report along with the other requirements. After this period, hindi na po i-honor yung trial results nyo po. So keep this in mind po. And then lastly, please do not submit the terminal report to the trial only without any supporting documents for product registration. Please take note that incomplete documents cannot and will not be processed. So ito, isa pa po ito, marami po kaming natatanggap na terminal reports lang and wala na pong additional na sinasabit na documents after noon. Then dadaan yung years, taon, wala na, nasa amin na lang. So kailangan po, complete niyo po yung documents para ma-process po natin siya. And with that, yun, tapos na po ang presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay po. Thank you very much, Sir Kevin. So ngayon naman po, let's proceed doon po sa balik katuloy din po to ng discussion from Fertilizer Regulations Division. Ngayon naman po yung magiging topic is about VAT exemption certificate. So ano po yung process ng pagkuha nun. And sakop din po nito yung pong mga other certificates na ini-issue po ng Fertilizer Regulations Division. So for us to know about this, we'll be showing to you a video presentation prepared or it was recorded by Ma'am Jane Apostol po. She's an agriculturist po from the Fertilizer Regulations Division. So pre-recorded po yung kanyang pong lecture. So kindly wait us to show to you yung mismong video po. Andyan ba? Ayan. Wait lang po. So for the information of everybody po, bali ito pong webinar pala based doon po sa result ng pong, di ba po, na may registration po tayo na sinagawa for this webinar. So based po doon, this is in addition po doon sa result po ng pre-evaluation, para po tayo din po ay ma-inform doon po sa kung sino yung mga kasama natin na nag-attend dito sa webinar. So for the information of everyone, yung pong mga participants from this webinar is actually, they came from different backgrounds. So may mga students, may mga teachers po tayo and professors from different universities, from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. May mga university researchers din po tayo. And of course, ayun, marami nga po yung from the industry, from our industry partners, yung pong mga nire-regulate po natin. And at the same time, yung pong ating mga training associations po. And so, ready na po ba? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen po, let's watch po ito pong presentation.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. I'm Jane Apostol from the Fertilizer Regulations Division. Our topic for this afternoon is about value-added tax or VAT exemption certificate, export certificate, and other certificate. Unahin po muna natin yung sa VAT exemption certificate. Ano po ba ang legal basis in the issuance of VAT exemption certificate? Pursuant to the provisions of Revenue Regulations number 7-95, Consolidated Value-Added Tax in relation to the stipulations of Republic Act number 7716 or the Expanded Value-Added Tax Law, sale or importation of fertilizer shall be exempted from value-added tax coverage. So sino po yung pwedeng mag-avail ng VAT exempt? Those fertilizer importers and importer end users. So the checklist of requirements are the duly accomplished and notarized application form with documentary stamp. Since nagkaroon po tayo ng pandemic, kahit hindi notarized po yung application form, ina-accept na po yun as long as meron siyang documentary stamp. And the application form can be downloadable at the FPA website, yung fpa.da.gov.ph. Next is the bill of lading, commercial invoice, packing list, which will be provided by the manufacturer or supplier, active certificate of products registration issued by the Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority. So pag sinabi natin active certificate of product registration, hindi pa po ito expired. Laboratory analysis from a third-party laboratory taken from the country of origin prior to its shipment. Ibig sabihin po nito, bago i-ship ni manufacturer or supplier yung fertilizer na i-import natin, pinapa-analyze po muna ito sa third-party laboratory or sa independent lab to ensure that the nutrient content of the product na i-import natin ay within the standard specification. Halimbawa, ang i-import ay urea, dapat sa analysis, ang nitrogen content niya ay 46%. So yung result of analysis na yun po yung third-party analysis. Next is the PNP permit, disposition report of previous importation for nitrates only like potassium nitrate and calcium ammonium nitrate. So in the case of calcium ammonium nitrate, since delisted na po ito at hindi nakasama sa mga controlled chemicals, disposition report na lang po yung i-attach. So pag sinabi natin disposition report, ito po yung inventory of the product. Halimbawa, ng last importation, kung ilang bags ang natira, and then doon din po makikita yung mga list of target buyers. So payment for VAT exemption ay 600 pesos. And gusto ko na rin po idagdag na ang application for VAT exemption ay on a per product and per packaging basis. Halimbawa, sa isang bill of lading, mayroong dalawang fertilizer products like fertilizer A and fertilizer B, and may dalawang types of packaging. Nakapack siya in 50 kilogram bag and in 25 kilogram bag. So ang pag-issue ng certification sa fertilizer A 50 kilogram bag, isang certification po yun. And then sa fertilizer A 25 kilogram bag, another certification po yun. Same with fertilizer B 25 kilogram bag and fertilizer B 25 kilogram bag. So meaning sa isang bill of lading, dapat mayroon po itong 4 na application form since ang issuance po natin ng VAT exempt certification ay on a per product and per packaging basis. So ito po yung halimbawa ng yung application form for VAT exemption. I-fill out lang po natin lahat ng information na hinihingi. Next is for export certificate. Sa export certificate naman, usually ito sa mga locally manufactured product or locally manufactured fertilizer product na i-export natin sa ibang bansa. So yung requirements nito ay yung duly accomplished and notarized application form with documentary stamp. So sabi ko kanina, kahit hindi naka-notarize, as long as meron siyang documentary stamp, tinatanggap na po yun. Active certificate of product registration from the Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority, pro forma invoice from the applicant, and sales contract or purchase order from the buyer. Payment for export certificate ay 600 pesos. So this is how the application for export certificate looks like. I-fill out lang din po natin dito yung lahat ng information na hinihingi. The last one is for other certificate. Yung other certificate naman, ini-issue ito sa mga mag-i-import ng fertilizer samples intended for agricultural purposes. And the requirements are letter of request indicating the purpose. So indicate lang po natin doon sa letter natin kung gaano kadaming sample ang i-import natin, saan ito gagamitin. Halimbawa, for laboratory analysis pa ito or for field trial. And then the pro forma invoice, certificate of analysis, the material safety data sheet from the manufacturer or supplier. And then payment for other certificate is 350 pesos. So what are the steps on the issuance of VAT exemption, export, and other certificates? Before po tayo nagkaroon ng pandemic, ang pag-submit ng application with complete required documents ay sa Fertilizer Regulations Division. And then iti-check po yun yung completeness of the submitted documents. Once na kompleto yung requirements, i-issuehan po ng bill form for payment. And then i-evaluate po yun, ipaprocess, and we have to wait for the approval. Once na na-approve na, babalik po ulit dito sa office to claim or pick up the approved certification. Now that we are embracing the new normal situation, ang pag-submit ng application with complete required documents ay through email. So isi-send po natin yung lahat ng request natin sa naka-assign na email address for certification, yung fpa.frd.bat@gmail.com. So after na evaluate at na-satisfy naman lahat ng mga requirements, ina-acknowledge po yun na na-receive yung application. But then, from time to time, i-check nyo rin po yung email ninyo. Kasi there are times na sa dami ng pumapasok na request, may mga pagkakataon na ma-mislook or matabunan yung application or request ninyo. Pag sa ganun po, na halimbawa 2 days na hindi pa rin nare-receive yung application, please call our attention or notify us para mabalikan at ma-check kung kailan kayo nag-submit. And then once na na-receive na po yun, ipaprocess. Pagkatapos ma-process, we have to wait for the approval of the certification. Pag na-approve na po yung certification, ino-notify po kayo through email, kasama po doon yung electronic copy of the certification. So pag na-receive nyo po yung email, ipiprint po yung certification sa A4 size bond paper, 2 kopya. Ang payment, every time na magpunta po tayo sa Fertilizer Regulations Division, makipag-appointment po muna tayo since minimize din po natin yung pagpunta ng mga client doon sa office. So pagpunta po sa office or pagka nagkapag-appointment na po kayo, i-email po sa inyo yung kung magkano yung billing form, kung magkano yung babayaran po sa certification na na-issue sa inyo. So dadalhin po yun kasama ng hard copy of the documents na in-email and then yung 2 copies of yung pinrint na electronic copy of the certification and the payment. Kasi sometimes si Bureau of Customs, hinahanap niya yung certification na may dry seal ni FPA. So ipapadry seal po yung certification, ang isa ibabalik sa inyo after payment, yung isa i-attach po doon sa hard copy na sinubmit ninyo. And gusto ko lang po i-inform na hindi na po kami nagpiprint ng hard copy for the certification since na-email naman na po yun sa inyo. And then, processing time for certification is 4 working days. That ends my presentation. Thank you for listening and sana may natutunan po kayo.
Bilis naman ng presentation mo, Ma'am Jane. Ayan, so for us po, moving on po tayo. Ayan po. So to discuss for this part of the program, to discuss about issuance of certificate of application for importation of pesticides, UP, and other certificates for pesticide regulations, may I call on Ma'am Bella Fe Carmona. She's a chemistry at the Pesticide Regulations Division. So nakasama na po actually natin si Ma'am Bell no, since episode 1. So actually siya na po yung magiging resource person from the Pesticide Regulations Division hanggang po matapos ito po ating pong webinar series. So Ma'am Bell, ready na po ba tayo?
Yes.
Ayun, so ready na si Ma'am Bell. Now, it's now your turn na po.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako na naman ang magpipresent, but I want to inform the group that the one in charge on EUP is Ms. Chris Minguez. She's also the one in charge in the registration of proprietary pesticide products. Wait, excuse me, Lord. Just wait for a while. Ayaw mo.
Okay. Doon po sa mga participants, sorry, sisingit muna ako. You may post po yung mga questions ninyo din po sa ating Zoom chat box para po ma-screen na po namin yung pong mga questions ninyo. And then, at the same time po, doon sa mga ating pong mga tagapanood po via Facebook Live, doon po sa FB page, kindly comment your questions. Ayun. So, ay na si Ma'am Bell. Wait lang po. Ayun. Yan, ready na si Ma'am Bell.
Anong ba po? So, what is this EUP? EUP is experimental use permit that all pesticides to be tested in the Philippines, either to generate data to support for registration or to conduct preliminary screen tests in the products must be covered by an appropriate EUP. And the experiment shall be conducted by researchers accredited by FPA following the standard protocols for biological efficacy testing. What are these special types of EUP? Meron po tayong tinatawag na EUP 1A, which covers the coded compounds in the initial stages of development to be tested only within the company research station. Yung EUP 1B po, it covers the coded compounds to be tested outside the company research station, but on limited areas. But this outside research station should be also licensed by FPA as a research station. For the EUP2, it covers pesticides in pre-market development stage, and the bioefficacy data generated may be used for registration purposes. So yung ma-generate nyo pong data, yung po ang gagamitin nyo for registration purposes. Yung EUP 1A and B, hindi po for trial pa lang yun kasi coded compounds pa lang po yun. For EUP 3, this covers the registered pesticides to be tested for additional uses or for label expansion. So that means that is already registered, like for example, for rice corn, but you want to add for another crop, then label expansion na po yung lalabas. And then, sorry. Yan. The bioefficacy data provide a mechanism to ensure that the pesticide will perform as indicated in the label against the intended pest. And it should be generated locally with approved experimental use permit. So in general, for pesticides, like insecticides, fungicides, and other pesticides, one season testing in 2 locations are acceptable for registration. That's for insecticide, fungicide, and other pesticide. But for herbicide, testing for 2 seasons on 2 locations per seasons are required. And the bioefficacy data generated in other Asian countries with similar climatic condition and following the FAO test protocols or any regionally accepted guidelines developed in the region may be acceptable for the same crops and pest species or strains in the Philippines. So the others, they want it immediately to be registered and they have available data from other Asian countries, they apply for registration. But at the same time, they need to apply for an EUP also. Kasi po, yung other region, other countries na bioefficacy data will be given only a conditional. We still need to wait for the local bioefficacy data for you to give a full registration. In coming up with our third edition of the Green Book, there are some updates on the current policies. And these two policies relates to the experimental use permit, such as the expansion of the coverage of the EUP1 and 1B from coded compounds in the initial stages of development to coded technical grade, coded formulation, and research formulation. What is this? Due to advance in technology, different types of experiments should be done before a compound can be recommended for registration of commercialization. The additional tests will allow the company to generate additional local information on factors that affect the performance of crop protection products for product stewardship, life cycle management related purposes. What is this coded technical grade, coded formulation, and research formulation? These are the three different types of test materials in the EUP. The coded technical grade, which is still unnamed, technical grade active ingredient. The coded formulation is the coded formulation at an early development stage, and the research formulation is the refers to the new formulations of a new known active ingredients. And secondly, which is new to the FDA guidelines, is the drone. Drone, this is to provide innovative technology to the farmer, which is important to be competitive in the market. This will also lessen the exposure of the farmers, considering how the product will be used. Why I discuss drone is because under the EUP, under the EUP new guidelines, there is an application of drone as spraying. The experimental use permit for drones as a method of application. Hindi ko mabasa yung ano doon. The registrants must secure experimental use permit prior to conduct of any bioefficacy and or residue trial which utilizes drone as a method of application. As per usual applications, EUP is issued upon evaluation and approval of the submitted test protocols and other data requirements. And all trials requiring EUP should be conducted only by FPA-accredited researchers along with an FPA-accredited drone operator. So meron na po tayo ditong drone operators that which should be also accredited. The bioefficacy and non-residue data generated from these trials may be used to support product registration except for trials covered by EUP 1A and 1B. The following describes the nature of application for EUP for drones and the corresponding requirements. So we have here on the left side of my is the nature of application and the corresponding type of EUP with the corresponding requirements. So if a registered product will be tested on a registered crop pest dosage. So registered na po ito, pero with application of drone, mag-iiba po yung rate of application. So that means that is under EUP 3. So the requirement is the duly accomplished and notarized application form P002 and the bioefficacy trial protocol product stewardship program is specific for the applied use of drone. So the product stewardship program is very important since this is a means of addressing the risks and hazards to human health and the environment related to the use of the product. So, and then it is specific for different type of EUP and toxicity of the product. Kasi po alam natin, that is category 2, 3, and 4, may different category na less toxic, more toxic is Cat 2, Then 3 and 4 is less toxic. So it depends on the nature of the product po. Kaya minention yung specific for the applied use of drone. And next is if a registered product will be tested on a different unregistered crops or pests. Ito po yung additional uses or label expansion. So duly accomplished and authorized form P002 and bioefficacy trial protocol and SPRT trial protocol. If needed, product stewardship program again, specific for the applied use of drone. Number 3, if a registered product will be tested on a registered crop pest but using a higher dose. So, higher dose na po ito. EUP3 pa rin po yun. Duly accomplished and authorized application form P002 bioefficacy trial protocol and SPRT trial protocol if needed. The data on environmental and human exposure risk assessment. Again, product stewardship program specific for the application of drone. Next is that if a registered product will be tested on a registered crops but using a lower dose. So, hindi po ibig sabihin na registered na kayo doon sa same dose, pareho yung rate of application. Magkakaiba po kaya mag-aano pa rin kayo. Mag-a-apply pa rin kayo na EUP once you applied it for a drone application. So, kailangan pa rin po authorize an application form P002 to the bioefficacy trial protocol, product stewardship program, specific for the applied use of drone. And then for in-house profiling trials, which means this is a coded compound, which is being tested within the company research station or outside the company research station. The notice of intent to conduct experiment form number 001, the trial protocol and MSDS product stewardship program for the applied use of drone. For local field trials of new product, new formulation to support product registration. Ito po yung for registration purposes pag bago yung produkto natin, proprietary, or bago yung formulation. Ngayon po kasi, sa new formulation, meron na po tayong additional protection of 3 years kasi siyempre po may investment naman yung nag-conduct ng first trial. But if you want to come, hindi po kagaya nung una, once a certain multinational company registered for a combination of 2 generic AI, kunwari po sa Cornion, you can immediately, after the approval of Syngenta or other companies na nag-apply ng combination of 2 products, pwede na po rin yung i-register, i-harmonize lang, di ba? Harmonization po tayo sa mga crops, kaya po yung mga generic natin eh. Hindi na tayo nagba-bioefficacy. We ride on the registered crops and the registered recommended dosage. But then now, if you want to have that one, and bago po nila na-apply ngayon, with the coming of the new guidelines, may additional protection po sila ng 3 years. Kayo din, gusto nyo the same AI, the same formulation, concentration, with the same crop, you have to conduct your own test. Kasi po sila gumastos, so you have to spend also at your own expense for the new formulation. Yung isa naman po, yung new product, yung proprietary. Iba po may data protection tayo ng 8 years for proprietary, which means na hindi po pwedeng pumasok yung iba after, saka lang po sila makakapasok after 8 years. Once na nagbigyan sila either conditional or full registration, then that's the time after 8 years, pwede na nilang i-registered with the same crop, with the same concentration formulation, but with the specification. But with the new guidelines, kahit po sinabing proprietary yan or first time that the active ingredient is to be registered in the Philippines, pwede na rin po yung ibang company. As long as you have your own set of data, including the bioefficacy, the local bioefficacy. So you conduct the test here in the Philippines, and then yung mga specs nyo, residue, tox, human exposure, the requirements for the complete set of proprietary registration. You can now enter into the registration also. I-entertain na po yun. So yun, sa EUP2 po yun dahil for registration purposes. So nakalagay po dito, duly accomplished and notarized application form 002 bioefficacy trial and SPRT trial protocol if needed, and then other requirements for table 2.2 of FPA Green Book. Product Stewardship Program is specific for the applied use of drone. So ito po yung bago natin sa bagong guidelines natin. And then, sa application, EUP1 and A and 1B, the applicants shall accomplish, nakukuberan po yung part ko sa right side, kaya hindi ko kailangan kong tignan yung aking code ko. Accomplish and submit notarized notice of intent to conduct experiment FPA form number 001 in triplicate at least a month prior to the start of the experiment. So that is EUP1A and B. For EUP2 and EUP3, the applicant shall accomplish and submit notarized application form for EUP, the FPA form number 002 in triplicate. The application for EUP2 shall be filed at least 6 months prior to the start of the experiment and at least 3 months for EUP3 to facilitate the review of the application. So, then yung yung requirements sa EUP2 and 3, yun yung table dun sa ating website na bagong guidelines po ng Green Book. Pero the same requirements naman po with the previous guidelines. And then, so data, ito pala yung data requirement. Ito pala naka-mention yung data requirement. So for EUP1A and 1B, applicant must submit FPA compliant trial protocol and SDS po, safety data sheet only. Wala po yan yung mga specification, talks, wala. Sa EUP2 and 3 po yun. Ayan, yung minention ko na for EUP2 and 3 described in table 2. The same requirements kasi po, naka-specify naman doon for registration purposes or for EUP, yung column na i-comply nyo yung requirements. For validity and extension, each experimental use permit is limited to one pesticide product to be used in one specific crop against the target pest with approved trial protocol. The EUP is valid within the indicated trial duration and trial location. However, the period of coverage of EUP may be extended upon request with proper justification. Kasi po, di ba, minsan hindi satisfied yung result or minsan hindi nakukontinue, hindi maganda yung area o walang infestation ng pest doon na tinatarget nyo for your registration purposes. The filing fee shall be paid upon submission of application for EUP extension din po. May filing fee din po yun. Another topic is before my first presentation or second presentation, noon po sa registration, I mentioned that the registration of pesticide product and licensing of handlers are the cornerstones of FPA regulatory functions. Yung po yung licensing, and licensing was already discussed the last episode. Now we come up with the import control. No importation of any pesticide is allowed without an appropriate certificate authorizing importation of pesticides, or what we call the CAI. The certificate of authorizing importation of pesticide, one of the requirements is the photocopy of importer's license, photocopy of certificate of product registration, the CPR or EUP. Kasi po sa EUP, kailangan din ng CAIP, di ba? Pag magta-trial, you need a certain amount of the product to be tested. Pero limited lang po yun because it depends on the area to be covered for the EUP. Hindi po tayo nag-a-allow kasi hindi pa naman registered yun para ma-avoid na rin natin yung yung toxicity ng product or contamination. So, limited only, naka-specify naman doon sa inyo kung ilang area ang gagamitin for the conduct of the trial. There is also one request letter specifying the following. Yung product nyo po, the percent purity if technical material or active ingredient formulated. A formulated product. And then the unit price, the quantity, the payment terms, country of origin, the destination. This is being declared under your pro forma invoice. So we have the pro forma invoice. Usually po sa China, pag nag-import, hindi yung mismong manufacturer formulator. They have the distributing arm or the marketing arm to other countries. But this should be declared also by the manufacturer or the formulator. Kasi po, kung hindi di-declare, baka po yung pro forma invoice nung marketing arm or distributing arm, hindi po yun yung kanilang exporter. And then also, it is being required that in the pro forma invoice, the manufacturer and the formulator should be indicated. Kasi po, baka kung hindi natin indicate, hindi natin alam kung saan kinuha po yun ng exporter. Baka hindi po sa registered manufacturer formulator na in-apply sa FDA. Then the bill of lading. Saka po hindi ko na-mention doon sa CPR po, per supplier po tayo ha. Kasi usually ang isang company, 2-3 ang supplier. So there should be specific na CPR for the specific manufacturer formulator. Baka ang i-attach nyo yung China pero mag-import kayo sa Malaysia. Hindi po pwede yun. Pero the same product. That should be specific for the supplier. Yung bill of lading naman po, yung previous importation na para masabi na na-transpire yung importation. Kailangan naka-append. Pero pag first time importation, wala pa po yan. Yung bill of lading, pag meron na kayong first importation o previous importation, that should be submitted also para ma-account namin whether that has transpired o na-import yung particular There is a corresponding processing fee wherein the CAIP issued general use 750. Ito po yung mga category 3 and 4 na hindi restricted pesticide. Yung red label, usually ito po yung mga fumigante, yung methyl bromide, category 1 po. Restricted use, naka-mention po kasi sa CPR whether that is for institutional use only, restricted po yun, or for certified pesticide applicator use only. Yung mga ang gamit. Kasi yung mga fumigants natin, di ba po, fumigator ang specific for the pest control fumigator. The export permit 1.5, pero usually po yung export permit hindi yan yung for commercial ha. Kasi po ang usually nangyayari pag off-spec yung product, ibabalik do sa country of origin. Yan po yung export, but you have to secure also a license and then you need to secure also an export permit. As indicating the reason why that has to be exported. Amendment certification 750. Ito po yung when we issued a CAIP, bago nag-amend po, hindi na-follow yung quantity o yung volume, mag-a-amend na lang kayo kasi kung minsan nasa nakaship na, amendment po yun, yung price, yung destination, minsan po sa Manila, pero sa Davao pala dapat bumagsak. Then you come up with the amendment. And then there's also another certification wherein kasi po yung mga nag-i-import ng technical material, they usually import also their inert ingredients. Pero hindi na po CAIP ang ini-issue natin. Like for example, an adjuvant, an emulsifier being used there, or the solvent or whatever, na po yun, certification. So you need to pay only 350. And application within complete requirements will not be accepted. Just to mention, do sa drone application po, meron na po tayong 3 licensed drone operators. One is the New Hope Precision Agriculture Corporation under the management of Mr. Anthony Tan. And this is being used by Syngenta for the conduct of their experimental use permit. So, ginagamit na po sila. Nagde-demo po siya pag meron certain trainings or symposium, nagde-demo siya how to apply ng pesticides, kung what type of crops is being applied, rice, corn, or whatever, yung tree, fruit tree. Yeah, mga mango po. And then another one, we have AgriCernat Technical Solutions Incorporated under the management of Joel Lacerna, and the EUP being conducted with the use of drone application. Ang ano po, ng Bayer, ang AgriCerna naman po ang ginagamit nila. And there's another one that has been licensed sa UP Los Baños po yata ito, Elucin Agriculture Consultancy Services under the management of Mr. Gualberto Bontoc III and Jelmer Aguirre po. So may 3 na tayong licensed drone operators. I just want to mention, hindi ko na po pina-flash ito, na there is an memo circular number 28 series of 2018 that was issued by our Honorable Director Willie Roldan with regards to the good agricultural practices for remotely piloted aircraft system for use as spraying. Ito po yung para related do sa mga drone operators. Kung ano po ang dapat nilang gawin, safety procedures in pesticide spraying, post applications, ano po ba yung qualification. So, ang kailangan po para kayo maging drone operators, you have the license to operate under the CAAP, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and also kailangan CPA po, Certified Pesticide Applicator din po yung drone operator controller. There is also a spray operation crew, which should be, dapat ARCO po siya or CPA din. So may requirement din po to be complied, and then kung ano po yung pesticide safety and post application, the safety and handling of pesticide, and also the choice, storage, and condition of pesticide. And all important is the safety, health, and appropriate equipment to be used. Kung ano po yung dapat nilang i-follow in applying as a drone application. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Mismo naman po, Ma'am Bel. Tapos na pala tayo. Ayun po. So before we proceed po doon po sa Q&A portion ng ating pong webinar. Ayun. So let me first present to you po yung some announcements lang bago po tayo dumako sa Q&A. And to the participants, ayun, katapos lamang po mag-discuss ni Ma'am Beth. So you may now pose mga questions nyo about EUP, issuance of CAIP and other certifications for pesticide regulations po. Ayun, para po ma-screen na po namin yung mga questions nyo. So moving on po, for ano pala, bali ito pong ating webinar is nasa 4th episode na po tayo, no? So bali for next week, that will be on November 25 tama. So yun po. Or 18, I should say. 25 na pala kasi na-adjust na pala yung ating pong schedule since yung pong ating webinar was postponed last week. So na-move po siya. Naging yung webinar na episode 4 natin na episode 4 is ngayon lang siya na-air. So bali po on November 25 po, yung magiging topic po natin will be about issuance of accreditation for Accredited Responsible Care Officer or ARCO, Certified Pesticide Applicator or CPA, Fertilizer and Pesticide Researcher, and Accredited Safety Dispenser or ASD. So kami po sa PMID po yung magdi-discuss niyan. And on December 2 po, December 2, our topic will be about facilitation and submission of fertilizer and pesticide samples to the Laboratory Services Division for confirmatory analysis, permit to purchase mechanism provide, issuance of a certificate of laboratory recognition, and other laboratory testing and analytical services. So muli po, that will be on December 2, and yung magiging speaker po natin or resource person will be from the Laboratory Services Division. Moving on. Ayan po. Kindly take note po itong mga sumusunod na email addresses po ng Fertilizer Regulations Division. So kindly screenshot na lang po yung pong mga ito po, mga sumusunod po na email addresses ng Fertilizer Regulations Division. So marami po yan. So FRD. So dati po lahat ng mga emails pertaining to fertilizer regulations is doon sa pumupunta sa frsdguardians@gmail.com. Pero ngayon po, specific po dapat kung kunwari yung inquiry ninyo or you wish to submit a document for a certain frontline service under the FRD, kailangan po specific sa isang specific email kayo mag-submit. Like for instance, kung for licensing, dapat for FPA FRD license yung email siya. And kung for registration naman, fpafrd.reg.trad, iba yung trad. Kindly take note na lang po kasi marami po siya mga ma'am sir, no? And sa PRD, the same thing po. Ay mga bago po silang mga email addresses for specific services. Ayun. So kindly take note, kung pwede paki-screenshot po yung pong mga email addresses nila. Ayun. Thank you. Next po. Ayun. So, ito pong sa online schedule, wala na ata, no? Oo. Last na pala yung last week. So, on November 21, yun na lang ata yung natira. Unless kung may biglang i-coordinate sa amin yung mga training association na may mga ikakandak pa silang trainings, online trainings and symposia on December or mga last week po ng November. Ayan po, we will be announcing it immediately naman po on through our social media channels and our website. Next po, yung pula na ata. And po, this is just a precautionary measure po since nasa pandemic pa tayo. So, kung gusto nyo pong makipag-appoint or you want to consult with us here in the office, ayun, hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok dito kung wala po kayong face mask and face shield. And ayun po, and bago po kayo pumunta dito, dapat nakapag pre-appointment na po kayo doon po sa concerned officer na gusto nyo pong i-meet. Ayan. So, ayan. So for ito na po, ang daming nagtatanong kung paano po ma-access yung pong mga presentations na ginamit natin through dito sa webinar. Ayun, take note or I'll try to post po ito pong link kung saan nyo pwedeng i-access yung mga presentations na nagamit. Tapos kung pwede nyo pong para mas madali, pwede nyo yung i-scan yung pong QR code na nakikita nyo po sa screen. Ayan. Next po. Ayan. Ito na po. So for the post-evaluation, kindly access it through that link or through the QR code. Scan the QR code. And ayun po, inulit ko po na yung mga nakasagot lamang po ng ating pong post-evaluation, yung pong mabibigyan lamang po ng e-certificates. So we will try to post this link doon din po sa Facebook Live natin and dito po sa Zoom chat box. Ayun. So, ayun. Dito na yung hinihintay nating moment, no? Yung question and answer portion. Ayun. So, allow us to show with you po yung pong mga katanungan na inyo pong ni-raise or pinost dito po sa Zoom. Ayan. So, isa-isa po namin i-show yung kada katanungan and yung pong ating mga resource person, they will be answering po yung pong mga questions ninyo. Ayan. So, ayan, may Fina-finalize pa pala. So ayun po ng participants natin ngayon. We have 34 participants. Ayan, 34 participants po tayo dito sa Zoom, and sa ating pong Facebook Live, kasalukuyan pong may nanonood na I think the same bilang din nung kanina eh. Ayun, may 24 tayong watchers from the Facebook Live natin. Okay. Ayun po. And dun po sa mga participants po pala, please be reminded na kapag po mag-fill in kayo ng ating pong post-evaluation, kindly type in legibly po yung inyo pong pangalan, no? Doon po sa mismong Google form, para po kung nilagay namin yung pangalan ninyo din doon sa certificate is tama po siya, para po hindi po pabalik-balik, no, yung pong pagbibigay ng ating pong certificate. Ayan. And meron na ba? Ayan, okay. So, question and answer na po tayo. So, first question. This is from Hazelin Mandawe po. Ang tanong niya po, paano po kung may trial kami sa rice and 2 location, pwede bang apply na lang kami ng label expansion for other crops? Ayan, so Sir Kevin po, kindly enable na lang po yung inyo pong yan, video and audio. Ayan.
Okay, so Miss Hazel, to answer your question, yung 2 locations mo na trial sa rice, so per policy, good na siya for full registration ng product nyo. Pero take note ha, na yung trial nyo na yon on 2 locations, dapat siya ha, for trials na locations na different yung agroclimatic condition. So like for example, yung isa sa Mindanao, isa sa Luzon, or kahit magkaibang province lang. Okay? And then once na ma-register mo siya for full registration, pwede ka nang mag-apply ng another EUP for the label expansion ng crop mo. Or isa pang option mo rin, kung halimbawang valid pa naman yung EUPs mo or ongoing pa yung dalawa mong EUP sa rice, pwede ka na mag-apply din ng label expansion na EUP for doon nga yung isa mong crop. And then pag halimbawang nagsabay na natapos yung label expansion EUP mo saka yung 2 locations, pwede mo silang sabay-sabay nang i-apply for full registration. So parang lalabas nun, ang magiging registered crop mo ay rice plus yung isang crop na ile-label expansion mo. Ganun ha. Then yung as for the crops naman na gagamitin mo, kung ano yung representative crop mo na na itatrial, once na ma-register siya, covered na nun lahat nung ka-group niya na crops dun sa grouping niya. Ito ha. I-share ko yung groupings natin dun sa revise natin na group ngayon to give you an idea. Yes. Ayan. So, yan. For example, kung nagdalawa ka ng trial sa rice, ayan. So, full registered sa rice. Then, kung mag-apply ka ng EUP sa lettuce, label expansion, once na i-apply mo siya, magkaka-label expansion ka na for fruiting and leafy vegetables kasi yun yung group niya dito eh. Then another example, kung mag-EUP ka naman sa carrots, once na i-apply mo yun ng label expansion, ano na siya, ma-register mo na siya for root crops. So, yun, ganun. Pero take note ha, na makapag-file ka lang ng label expansion once na may full registration ka. Or, another option is, isasabay mo yung label expansion mo dun sa upgrading to full registration mo. So, yun. Okay na. Thank you.
Okay. So next, okay po. Next question po tayo, no? Okay, from anonymous attendee. For fertilizer, if the similar product is registered for 10 consecutive requirements, tama ba? What are the requirements needed to waive the EUP or bioefficacy trials? Thanks.
So yun, so regarding doon so ang magiging application mo ay magiging dalawa siyang steps muna So first step mo muna is i-verify muna natin kung totoo yung claim mo. So for that, magfa-file ka muna ng request letters stating yun nga na gusto mong pa-register na siya for all crops dahil yun nga, register niya sa for 10 years and then mag-attach ka na lang ng documents na mag-proof nung claim mo. Then once na ma-verify na namin siya, that's the time na yun nga, pwede na mag-commence the second step which is yung mag-apply ka ng amendment ng registration mo. For that, for the amendment of your registration, magsasubmit ka lang ng yun nga, letter of intent uli, indicating yung request, an application form, then yung original mo na CPR i-attach mo kasi babaguhin na natin yun. And then the updated label kasi syempre from specific crop groupings magiging na siya for all crops. And then magbabayad ka ng filing fee na 600. Okay, so yun. I hope that answers your question.
Okay na po. Okay, so sa next question from AVC Chemical Corporation, tama. So, ang tanong niya is, kapag po ba sa FRD, required din po ang bill of leading? Kapag first time po mag-import, para po ito sa VAT exempt certificate. Salamat po.
Yes po, isa po doon sa requirement, based doon sa checklist natin yung bill of lading. Kahit first time po mag-i-import, required po yung bill of lading. And besides, ang bill of lading kasi nagre-reflect din po doon sa certification na ini-issue ni FPA. Thank you po.
So, okay na po. Ayan, next question po tayo. And from anonymous attendee, MSDS is one of the requirements for product registration for import permits. Global Harmonized Standard or MSDS or SDS have 16 sections. Many local made MSDS in the Philippines is not just GHS standard. What standard of MSDS or SDS is FPA required?
Sa pesticide.
And Mambel.
So for pesticide registration, we require MSDS or SDS kasi po usually naka-pattern na to kung saan galing yung country of origin ng product, kung ano na sila, naka-adapt na sa GHS, so they submit the SDS. Tayo po, hindi pa po tayo naka-harmonize, hindi pa tayo naka-GHS. So MSDS or SDS ang ating requirement. Usually po sa manufacturer, formulator nang gagaling ang MSDS and also doon sa mga source ng inert ingredients, di ba po? Iba yung supplier ng inerts. So they provide the MSDS or kung meron na sila SDS, SDS po. Okay, thank you.
Okay na po yon?
Yes.
Okay, so next question.
Paano kung makikita yung next question?
Ito, from anonymous attendee po din siya, no? So, ang tanong niya, many modern farming use hydroponic or aquaponic farming. FPA Blue Book has no guideline for hydroponics and hydroponic fertilizers. The question is, all hydroponics or aquaponics fertilizer do require undergo EUP trial? Ayun, so do hydroponics or aquaponic fertilizers require EUP trial? So, FR dito.
So currently, since yung mga yung protocol sa data natin na nasa Blue Book ay nagre-refer sa soil production, and yun, traditional na practices with crops. So hindi pa covered doon yung hydroponics. So for now, talagang required po muna na hydroponics, mag-EUP ang hydroponics. And yun, actually hindi rin feasible na lahat ng crops ay ma-produce through hydroponics actually. Especially yung mga crops na like yung mga vining crops, mga na kailangan ng kakapitan or mga tree crops, gano'n. So limited lang po pa yung use natin sa hydroponics. So for now po, required pa po na trial yung mga hydroponic fertilizers.
Okay, so kung okay na po tayo doon, next question po tayo. So from anonymous attendee, ito po ay for pesticide, KAIP. So Ma'am Bel, para sa ito yung question na ito. So yung tanong niya is, how many days is your processing time under new normal daw?
Sa new normal, ang alam ko po 3 to 5 days ang ano eh. Pero ngayon online na, mas mabilis po ang processing, mga 3 days. Oh.
3 days.
Under new normal, usually 3 days po kasi ang submission po ngayon ng KAIP is online eh. So immediate yung pag na-receive nila, ipaprocess na rin po kaagad.
So 3 days yun, no?
3 days to 5 days. Depende sa gamit ng KAIP na na-receive request for KAIP.
Ayun. So next question. Ayun. So may mga questions po na kakarating lang, no, during this segment, Q&A segment. This yung mga kanina na na-present namin through PowerPoint. We have these were questions that have been said earlier. Ayan. So ngayon po is kinakopy pa namin yung mga questions na kakapost lang. So ito, yung question is, kung mag-label expand po ba kami sa tomato for instance, sa label po ba ng fertilizer product, is it okay to indicate na registered and also solanaceous crops, sorry, so solanaceous crops yung product or registered in tomato lang? Thank you.
Okay, so I think na answer ko na to kanina, no. So i-share ko uli yung sheet sa groupings kanina. Wait lang . Ayan. So dito po makikita natin na yung tomato ay under siya ng fruiting vegetables or yung tinatawag natin ng mga solanaceous crops. So dito po, based dito, pwede siya kung yung EUP mo ay kinonduct mo sa tomato, pag-register mo siya, pwede mo siyang ilagay na sa solanaceous crops, or since ang sa subgroup lang siya, dito ka titingin sa grouping. So pwede mo siyang ilagay na for fruiting and leafy vegetables, not only solanaceous crops. Take note. Yung label expansion yan. And kahit for example, lettuce yan, lettuce yung nilabel expansion mo, leafy vegetables ang subgroup niya, pero since ang grouping niya ay fruiting and leafy vegetables, pwede mo naglagay sa label mo na pwede siyang for use for fruiting and leafy vegetables na, not only leafy vegetables. So, ayun, I hope that answers your question.
Ayun, so moving on po, let's proceed to the next question. So, from Zoila Ofalin de Vera, for herbicide po, per crop po ba ang application ng EUP or per target weeds?
Sa herbicide po, per crop, per weeds. Yung kung grasses or ano. Kasi po, hindi ito yung ano, basta on per crop basis po ang ano dito, ang herbicide sa EUP. Sa crop po.
Ayun, so may...
Therefore, grasses, sedges, or broadleaves.
Ayun, may questions pa po ba? Ayun, wala na. So, actually, ano to, this is the last part na po actually nating webinar. Ito pong Q&A question. May humabol pa ba?
8, may number 8 pa.
Ay humabol pa po. So, sorry guys habang may time pa po tayo, allow us to answer po lahat ng yung pong mga katanungan. Ayan. So, from Anonymous attending to yung last question natin. So, kung may mga magtatanong po, today is your yung sa panong to, ayun, pwede pa po kayo mag-post. May time pa po.
Number.
Or pwedeng basahin ko na lang yung question. Okay. So, ayan, yung question is, if company A have registered product AI25SC on Mango, do we need to conduct EUP trial, SPRT and EUP for expansion on banana and pineapple? Kahit yung naunang registrant ng AI10WP is already registered for use on banana and pineapple?
Pesticide or fertilizer?
Si Mambe.
If company A have registered product AI25SC on Mango, do we need to conduct EUP trial for expansion? Yes. Per product, per crop po ang sa pesticide, hindi kagaya doon sa grouping. For expansion on banana and pineapple, separate EUP din po application for banana and pineapple. Kahit nung naunang registrant ng AI10 is registered. Kasi ibang formulation po yun, 10WP and then 25SC. So, magkakandak pa rin po kayo ng EUP for for 10WP. Dahil iba rin po ang concentration nun eh. You need to submit an EUP application. Okay. This is a different concentration, different formulation. So, separate, different EUP trial should be conducted.
Okay.
For banana and pineapple.
A different EUP trial should be conducted separately. Tama ba? Ayun po. So kung wala na po tayong questions, ayun po, that actually ends po ito pong ating pong session for today, FPA Webinar Series Episode 4. So for the participants, please be reminded na you will only be given e-certificate if you have answered yung pong ating pong pre and post evaluation. Lalong-lalo na po yung pong ating pong post evaluation. Ayun, no? So inulit ko din po para po kasi hassle din po yung pabalik-balik namin na binibigay yung pong certificate kasi nagkamali sa pangalan. Ganun po. Kindly type in legibly po yung pong mga pangalan ninyo. So we will be receiving feedbacks po or yung pong sa ating pong post-evaluation. We will be opening that until tomorrow. No? So you have until tomorrow to finish yung pong ating pong post-evaluation. So para po sa mga ibang balita or for you to be keep updated po doon po sa ating pong mga activities dito po sa Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority. And if you want to be updated also of yung pong mga different programs and policies na ini-issue po ng aming pong ahensya, ayun po, kindly follow us po through our different social media channels and email and also to our telephone number. So ang aming pong Facebook page, official Facebook page is actually at FPA official page. Meron din po kaming Twitter account which is at FPA Central 77. Ang aming website is fpa.da.gov.ph. You may also email us at fpacentral77@gmail.com. And you may call us at 02-8920-8573. So kindly take note po yung aming mga social channels and website and email, tapos yung aming pong contact number. Ayun, so you may also visit us dito po sa FPA Building by Compound, Visayas Avenue, Diliman, Quezon City po. So kung doon po sa mga nasa probinsya po, you may also visit po yung pong nearest FPA Regional Office na malapit sa inyo pong lokasyon, no? Ayun. So sa lahat po ng mga nag-attend dito po sa ating pong webinar ngayon, maraming salamat po. God bless us all and I hope na makikita po ulit tayo doon po sa susunod na last 2 episodes ng FPA webinar series. So magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.